Hello once again to another game review with the Cardboard Stacker. This time I'm going to take a look at Incan Gold by Alan Moon and Bruno Faduti. In Incan Gold, you with other adventurers are going into an ancient temple to collect treasures and artifacts. To set up the game, each player will get 3 things: a camp card, a torch card, and a tent to keep your gems hidden. One player will become the start player and takes care of drawing cards from the quest deck and giving out gems. Before every round, one artifact is added to the quest deck. To begin a round, the first card is drawn and is shown to all players. If it's a treasure card, then the value of the treasure is divided among the players who are still in the round. These gems do not go to the tent, but outside in front of them as if the players were still carrying them. Gems are divided as much as possible with the remaining gems placed in the middle. I'll explain about those gems later. Oh, and by the way, turquoise are worth 1 point, obsidian 5, and gold 10 points. And treasure cards can have 1 to 17 gems on it. After a card is drawn, you have a chance to leave. All players decide secretly by selecting a torch or camp card. Once all players have selected their cards, then the cards are revealed simultaneously. If a camp card is played, players leave with all their gems, which is placed in their tents and are scored later at the end of the game. Any freestanding treasures are divided as evenly as possible for those who leave. These players no longer participate in this round. Players who play the torch card continue onwards by drawing a new card and hopefully find more treasure. Keep in mind the treasure you are still carrying are unsafe until you return to camp. If there are no longer players in the temple, the round ends. Artifacts are another type of treasure, but it can only be obtained by leaving. Only 5 are ever in the game, with 1 artifact added to each round. Now, if an artifact shows up, it stays in the middle. A player can obtain an artifact by leaving the temple, but there's a catch. There can only be exactly one player leaving to collect that artifact. Also, artifacts are worth different values depending on how many has been found throughout the game. The first 3 are worth 5, and the last 2 are worth 10. Players can obtain multiple artifacts in the round, and not all 5 will show up in the game. Artifacts not claimed are removed from the game. If a hazard card is drawn, one of 2 things will happen. If this is the first time that hazard has been pulled from the deck, nothing happens. But you can think this is a warning sign because if the same type of hazard shows up in the same round, then the round ends immediately and everyone still in there loses all their treasures they are carrying. Any artifacts not claimed are removed from the game, and one of the hazard cards that have been played is also removed from the game. Note there are 6 sets of hazards, 3 cards of the same type in each set. After a round ends, a new round begins with the start player passing to the left, a new artifact is added to the deck, and all the players ready for another adventure. And that's how you play Incan Gold. Let's go into the review. Starting off, the box is good and has a linen finish and holds all the components pretty well. The cards are nice too, good cardstock and a linen finish. Still, these cards should be sleeved since it might see a lot of play. The treasure tokens are great and adds to the aesthetic feel of the game. The tents do their job keeping the treasure tokens hidden, but they do seem a little tacky. As for gameplay, the push your luck factor is the core of the game and is what makes the game great. Should I press on to see what's behind the next card, or should I take everything I have now and exit? And it's really fun to see how far one individual can go before the temple caves in. It plays up to 8 and more players the better. It doesn't slow down the game, and a 5-player game is probably the minimum number you should have to play. Though artifacts are a little harder to get a hold of in a higher player count, but the mind games ensues. Should I leave for camp now? No wait, if they leave now, then I can't get it anyway. No, but if I play it later, and maybe someone else goes out, maybe I can get it after they leave, and I'll get out in the next round. With its setup and relatively short game time, it is short enough for Incan Gold to be a reasonable filler game. And I also have great success teaching and having a great time playing with friends and family who are not gamers. Everyone usually gets into the game after the 2nd or 3rd round. Perhaps the only thing I didn't like about the game is that there could be disappointing runs in the temple, and there are times that only disasters will just happen, and other times there will be a few treasures show up and then, a big disaster happens. In the long run, it doesn't really ruin the game. Incan Gold is one of my go-to games for beginner games and as a very good filler, and it's very reasonable price for what you get in the game. I have my copy for years and it still sees quite a bit of play. So if you're looking for a game that's simple and short, then set your next expedition to find Incan Gold. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, like, share, and subscribe. You can support our channel by visiting our Patreon page and follow us on Twitter. This is the Cardboard Stacker, and keep on stacking games.